Title: The Skyroot Path. The wind above the shattered canopy had a sound unlike any other, half whisper, half song. I had dreamed of hearing it since I was a child, sitting beneath the flickering lamps of the lower veins, where our tunnels glowed with the pale light of moss, and our elders spoke of the surface as myth. Now, with a single step, I had left that world behind. I am Kael of the Rootkin, the first of my lineage to walk the open sky in 3 generations. My goal was simple, in words, impossible in meaning. Reach the Skyroot, the colossal pillar that pierced the heavens, and bring back the Heartspore, the living crystal that, according to our legends, kept the world breathing.
The first horizon. The world above was vaster than I could have imagined. The ground was not stone but woven reeds, so tightly interlaced they formed a living carpet of green and gold. When the wind blew, the fields rippled like a sea. Massive insects with glassy wings drifted overhead, their hum vibrating through the bones. I felt both awe and terror. I had only been walking for a day when I reached the hollow coast, where cliffs of translucent amber plunged into a mist-filled abyss. The air shimmered there, thick with motes of light. I bent down and realized that the ground was warm, pulsing faintly beneath my palms, alive, like the heart of the world itself. I made camp near the edge and watched the horizon pulse in waves of color. At dusk, a flock of skyward herons glided past, their wings leaving trails of glowing dust in the air. It was beautiful enough to hurt, but as night fell, I learned beauty here came with a price. A low growl echoed from below the cliffs, deep and wet like the grinding of earth. Then something rose from the mist, a hollow wraith, its form shifting between smoke and sinew. Its eyes were 2 orbs of molten blue. I stood frozen, clutching my lightstone staff, remembering the stories. These beings were the remnants of the first settlers who had tried to harness the Heartspore's power. The air around it distorted, whispering in half-formed voices. "Go back to the roots," it murmured, words like cracked glass. "Leave the heart to die." I ran, branches snagged my cloak as I plunged through the grasslands. The wind turned sharp and cold, howling in protest. By dawn, my lungs burned and my legs trembled, but the wraith was gone. Only the echo of its words lingered, coiling through my mind. The City of Veils. By the 3rd day, I reached Virelin, a city that seemed to hang in the air itself. Its foundations were vast ribbons of metal and crystal tethered to floating spires by translucent chains. The people of Virelin were unlike any I'd seen. The Aven, with skin that shimmered like wet stone and eyes reflecting the sky. They called themselves the Children of Light, though their city was perpetually veiled in thin, silver fog. When I entered through one of their spiral gates, a guard stopped me. His armor appeared liquid, flowing with his movements. "You are Rootborn," he said, narrowing his gaze. "Few of your kind walk the aether paths." "I seek the Skyroot," I replied, "and the Heartspore." A murmur passed through the small crowd that had gathered. The guard frowned, but an older woman approached before he could speak. Her robes were woven with threads of light.
"I am Iris, Keeper of Veils," she said. "The Heartspore lies beyond even the Skyroot's reach. But your purpose burns clear, and perhaps the veil will open for one like you." She led me through the city, her voice a calm tide. Virelin was unlike any place I had imagined. Bridges made of refracted light, gardens of glass where flowers chimed instead of swayed, and fountains that floated in air, their water spiraling endlessly upward. The Aven spoke in soft cadences.
"The world remembers you," she said,
"but the path ahead will demand more than remembrance."
She touched the mirror's edge, and it split open with a sound like a sigh. Beyond it lay a storm of light, the Skyroot Path. The mirror deposited me on a vast expanse of white stone that stretched into the clouds. Before me rose the Skyroot, a colossal tree of crystal and bone, its branches piercing the clouds, its roots buried in lightning. Rivers of molten light flowed through its veins. The air shimmered with an electric hum that resonated in my chest. I began my ascent. The climb was treacherous, the bark was slick, and each gust of wind threatened to hurl me into the abyss. I stopped often to rest, clinging to hollows where strange creatures nested, feathered serpents that hissed softly in their sleep. Once, as I climbed, I felt the Skyroot pulse beneath my hand, a heartbeat answering my own. Halfway up, I encountered the Shard Singers, winged beings made entirely of translucent crystal, their bodies refracting sunlight into dazzling rainbows. They spoke in tones, not words, a symphony of resonance that vibrated in the bones. I could not understand them, Yet one extended a shard-like hand and pointed higher. When I reached the upper canopy, I saw it. The Heartspore, a sphere of luminous energy suspended in a cradle of roots, pulsating with colors that no language could name. It was alive, aware. As I approached, the air thickened, pressing against me with invisible weight. "You are rootborn," a voice echoed not in the air but within my mind. "Do you seek to heal or to claim?" I froze. The voice carried both warmth and warning. Images flooded my vision, the hollow wraiths, the decaying veins beneath the surface, my people waiting in the dark. "To heal," I whispered, "to remember." The Heartspore brightened and the weight lifted. A tendril of light extended, touching my chest. Pain seared through me, but beneath it came a sense of connection, a merging. I saw the flow of energy through the world, the cycle of life from the roots to the sky. When I opened my eyes, the Heartspore had dimmed, and a small crystal now pulsed faintly within my palm. I had what I came for, but as I descended, I realized something. The world was not dying, it was changing. The old roots were cracking, yes, but new light was rising through them. My people had hidden from the sky for too long. The return. By the time I returned to the hollow coast, dawn was breaking. The wraiths lingered in the mist below, watching silently. I held the crystal high, and for the first time, they did not advance. Their molten eyes softened, and one bowed its head before dissolving into light. The wind carried their final whisper, "So the world breathes again." As I made my way back to the tunnels, I knew the journey was far from over. The rootkin would not understand easily. Fear was as old as the dark, but I carried proof, the pulse of the Heartspore, a fragment of the Skyroot's light. And when I closed my eyes, I could still hear it. The song of the shard singers, the hum of living stone, the heartbeat of the world above. I had gone to find the heart of the Skyroot. Instead, I had found my own.